there, everybody. This is Kristin from Teaching Balance, and I am here with you with this week's mindfulness meditation practice. We are now in the month of November, which is crazy. And it just seems pretty right for us to have a theme for November around the idea of gratitude. It is what I typically do, and it really, honestly, is just because it's on people's minds. When we have Thanksgiving towards the end of the month, people are starting to think a little bit more actively about all the things that they have to be grateful for. And you could frame those as blessings in your life, things that are going well, even if it's just a positive thing, whatever it might be. We tend to allow ourselves to acknowledge them a little bit more at this time of year because of the holiday of Thanksgiving. And I also feel like it's a really good time to do it because we are continuing into that sort of winter slide where, not that it's a bad thing, but sometimes our optimism and our view of the world may feel a little less sunny, I guess you could say. And so that's why for the specific theme or I guess you could say invitation for this week, I wanted to just get a little bit more into that connection between expressing gratitude or blessings or whatever it might be, and how that actually has a positive impact on us psychologically. Now, there have been books written about this. And the one that I'm specifically thinking of that I'm, for my own purposes, referencing is called The Happiness Advantage. That's what it's called. And the author's name is Shawn Achor, I think, Achor. He has a really good TED Talk. I've actually also been privileged enough to be on a webinar with him. He is really just so knowledgeable and also such a dynamic speaker. And one of his primary, I guess you could say, encouragements, invitations to people is for all of us to allow ourselves to get into the habit of basically counting our blessings or focusing on the good things. Now, there's a lot to this, so I'm going to really just sum it up as succinctly as I can. As you know, we are, I'm about to sum it up and I'm like, let's talk about evolutionary psychology. But here's the idea. As a result of our ancestors and evolution, we have become conditioned physically to scan for threats. That's just how we are predisposed. And while we don't necessarily have to worry about scanning for, a tiger coming at us to eat us on the savannah like our ancestors may have, we are still in that physical space where we're constantly scanning for threats, problems, things to make better, things to adjust, things to fix. And we've talked about that in some way. Because that's our predisposition, we tend to emphasize and give more mental space, real estate, to problems, challenges, the things that are upsetting us, than we do to the good things. If it's good, that's great, moving on. And that's because it's not necessarily, of course, being predisposed to discount it or not give it the attention and time that is actually psychologically in our best interest. But it's just what we do. Okay, next, moving on, let me keep looking for the potential problems. And so his point in that book, The Happiness Advantage, is by getting into this habitual practice of listing, perhaps at the end of your day with your family or with a friend or online, if that's where it feels most appropriate to you, 3 good things that happened to you. What that exercise does, particularly when it becomes a regular practice, is it, I guess you could say, hacks this predisposition to be able to list all the bad things that we naturally would be more easily prone to do. And instead, your mind, both consciously, because you're making the list, and also subconsciously, Because if this is a regular practice, now your mind knows that it needs to come up with these things every day down the future, that it's going to look for them. And therefore, it is going to have a positive impact on your outlook. You will be more predisposed to savor and appreciate and be present to the good things in your life, which is actually very nourishing, to go back to our theme from last month. And it really does help us to stay in a more positive state of mind, which has this this very productive, positive cycle as it goes forward. I didn't explain that as well as I would have liked, but there it is. Now, in this month of gratitude, for this particular week, you guessed it, I'm going to encourage you, if you care to every day just come up with 3, or if you want to get crazy, maybe 5 good things that happen to you each day. I mean, they can be very little. Maybe the hot water heated up faster than usual, or maybe the traffic wasn't quite as hideous as it usually is, or whatever it might be. But I think you'll find that as you dig a little deeper, and they always have to be novel, they have to be new each day, it pushes you to really look for the good in your life, which is really beneficial to us in so many ways. So one of the things that's also very good in your life is having a meditation practice. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to set my timer, and I think I might weave this in a little bit. Now, if you're just not feeling that, that's fine. Just keep doing your regular practice. It's not a problem. But I think I want to play with this a little bit. So we'll be present to our mindful awareness, as we always are during our meditation. But I'm also going to invite you to bring in some thoughts, and then you'll let them go. So let's go ahead and get started. Closing your eyes, or lowering your gaze, whatever you prefer. Taking those deep, delicious belly breaths. And if for some reason deeper breathing is just not quite as accessible to you today, remembering that's not a problem. If you can, maybe just elongating each inhale and exhale for a little bit. Doing what feels most appropriate to you and trusting yourself. You know the anchors. You can rest your attention on the breath or the body or sounds. So I'm not going to prompt you with that. But instead, every couple of minutes, I'm going to check in and prompt you with something else. So let's go ahead and just allow ourselves to settle and rest our awareness in whatever present moment anchor feels easy for you right now. Letting go of any expectations. Just allowing yourself to rest in this awareness of how things are right now, no matter how they may be. So if you care to, the first prompt that I'm going to invite you to reflect on is bringing to mind one good thing that has happened to you in the last couple of days. If you're fortunate, there's probably been many, but I want you to notice which one comes to mind right away. And for that one that came to mind quickly, not evaluating it or comparing it to anything else or deciding if this is the one you should pick, but just allowing it to pick you, I suppose. And for a few breaths, just allowing yourself to see whatever it was that happened in your mind's eye. It might be you waking up after a good night's sleep or a kind word. And then after a few breaths, going ahead and letting that go. Coming back once again to either the breath or the body or sounds. Coming back into that restful self-awareness, mindful awareness of whatever's happening in this moment. And once again, I'll prompt you to bring to mind a different good thing that has happened to you or that you experienced in the past few days. Seeing what comes to mind right away, not judging it as being worthwhile or not. And if you're finding it's not quite coming up, perhaps lowering your standard of what good exactly means. And that could be a much smaller, tiny good thing. And whatever arises for you, for the span of a few breaths, allowing yourself to recall that good thing. Hear whatever sounds occurred. Picture what you remember happening. And any other sensory experiences that might be associated with it. And after your next inhale and exhale, once again letting that go. Coming back to resting your attention on the breath or body sensations or the sounds inside the room or outside the room. Once again. And lastly, for this final minute that remains, bringing up yet another good thing that you experienced or happened to you in the past few days. And I'm going to invite you to really savor that good thing, splash around in it, so to speak. And allow yourself just to bring this mindful awareness to that memory. And allow yourself to be very deeply present to it until the final bell. That's 10 minutes. So if you would like to, as the practice for this week, you could just rerun this one and bring to mind those 3 new things each day if you were to listen to it every day. You don't have to. You can also just sit around the table with family or friends or whatever, or online, connect with someone and share that you're interested in doing this week, or perhaps even longer. Whatever feels right to you. But that is certainly an option, is to do it with this meditation. So as always, thank you so much for taking the time for yourself, and thank you for allowing me to accompany you on this journey. I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye.